Russia is beginning to make good on its pledge for a partial pullout of troops and aircraft from Syria. The first group of Russian warplanes has returned to home soil. The pilots received a hero's welcome from family and fellow servicemen. President Vladimir Putin had ordered the withdrawal a day earlier. His surprise announcement coincided with the start of a new round of Syrian peace talks. CCTV's Richard Bestick has more on the talks from Geneva.
Evidence of Russian warplanes leaving the tragedy of Syria behind them as fighter planes depart the country following a 5-month campaign. The intrigue among diplomats at the peace talks in Geneva, though, centres on President Putin's motivations for pulling back in Syria, because opposition rebel leaders here insist the Syrian President Bashar al-Assad is only kept in power by Russian muscle.
What really keep Assad in power now, what keep crimes until this moment, is the presence of the Russian forces there. And I believe if they serious about pulling out all this one, this will be an end to dictatorship, it will be an end to crimes in Syria, and will help us to put an end to terrorism there in Syria.
And the timing of Russia's promised withdrawal at the outset of peace talks is not lost on senior UN diplomats either. They see it as significant.
The announcement by President Putin on the very day of the beginning of this round of intra-Syrian talks in Geneva is a significant development, which we hope will have a positive impact on the negotiations aimed at a political solution of the Syrian conflict and a peaceful political transition in the country.
And therein lies the dilemma for peace mediators here in Geneva.
So far, there's been no indication whatsoever from the Syrian government side that they're prepared to enter into any discussion of a political transition, because ultimately that could lead to the removal of President Bashar al-Assad, demanded by Western powers and certainly by the opposition forces, but a red line for Damascus.
After 5 years of death and destruction, though, the voices calling for a political settlement are growing louder, and some suggest here that could be President Putin's prime motivation. Richard Bestick, CCTV at the Syria Peace Talks, Geneva.